Hi, this is Beersborn. Welcome back to Game Design. In today's video, we're going to start a new game project. So here I am in Construct 3. I'm going to click on the New button. Let's name our project. You can name it anything you want. I'm going to call it Game 3. And for presets, let's choose 1080p landscape. Now the Optimize for Pixel Art, I'd recommend clicking that since the sprites we made are pixel art. That might help a little bit. And then let's click Create. And here's our new game project. Now to start off with, we can insert a couple objects. Let's make our character first. So I'm going to right click anywhere in the white space. I'm going to insert a new object. I'm going to go down to Sprite. Click on it one time so you have the opportunity to name it before you create it. I'm going to call this character. You can call it anything you want. The name doesn't matter as long as you know what it is. Click Insert, click Anywhere, and it brings up the Animations Editor window. Now we've already made our sprites. So I can click on the folder up here on the top left, and I can find where I've saved my, my exported sprites to. And I'm going to use this ghost for the example. So here I have the idle, just kind of standing sprite of my ghost. I'm going to load that in. Now, I added an animation to mine. You don't have to do that. You might just have a still image for your standing, or you could have like a little bit of an idle animation like this guy, whatever you want, either way. There we go. We have our first animation. I would recommend changing the name. I'm going to rename this to just like idle. Our character's just standing still. Great. There we go. You can change the size if you want. I'm holding down Shift as I click and drag the corner to adjust the size of my character. Now the other thing we need to add is input. So if I right click anywhere in the white space, insert a new object, and this time go down to the input section, these are going to be the controls that we use to control the game. Let's do the keyboard first. We're going to use the keyboard to control the movement of our character. Now over here on the right side, under objects, we have the character and the keyboard both there. If you ever want to rename any objects, like the character for example, you can do that here. Click on rename, or up here on the top left. Okay, cool. Now, we're going to make this character move around the screen using keys on the keyboard. There's different ways we could do that. I think let's use a behavior. I think that's probably the best option here. With my character clicked on, I'm going to go over to the behaviors on the left panel. And let's add a new behavior. Let's go down the movement section. We're going to give it 8-direction movement. That we can move in any of the 8 directions, left, right, up, down, diagonally. And now we have all these options for our speed and our acceleration, our deceleration. We'll come back to those. Let's head over to the event sheet and let's add some events to control our character. I'm going to start by clicking Add Event. And the condition is going to be when our player presses a key on the keyboard. Now, I recommend doing key is down here. So when the player is pressing down a specific key, we're going to choose which key we want to use to move the character to the right first. You could do the right arrow key. You could do the D key on the keyboard. I'm going to do the D key. I'm going to use ASWD to control the movement. Click Done. That's the condition. The action is going to be our character. And then under the 8-direction behavior section, we have an option for Simulate Control. I'm going to simulate the control of my character moving to the right. So when the D key is down, character moves to the right. Let's do the same thing for left. I'm going to add an event. The condition is going to be keyboard. When the key is down, in this case, I'm going to do A. You could also do the left arrow or any other option, really. The action is going to be our character. Simulates control, moving left. Let's do the same thing for up and for down. So add event, character, key is down. Click to choose for up, I'm going to do W. Add an action, character, simulate control. Oops. Move up. And add one last event here. Keyboard, key is down. I'm going to do S for down. Add an action, character, simulate control, down. So 4 events, 1 for each direction. Let's hit play and test it out. Now it does work, but there's some weird things here. Number 1, it's kind of slow. Number 2, it rotates. So it kind of flips upside down when you're moving different directions. We also have this big black border around the demo of our game. So let's make some changes here. First, I want to get rid of that black border. To do that, it's pretty easy. It's just a setting over here on the left panel. You have to click anywhere on the white background so you don't have any objects selected. And over here in Project Properties, you want to click on View. Under View, if we go down to the Display section, you'll see Full Screen Mode. And then the option is set to Letterbox Integer Scale. I would recommend changing that to like Scale Outer, I think is probably the best option. That just changes it so when you hit the play, it just scales it up to fit your whole window. Cool. Now let's make it so that our character does not flip upside down when we're moving. If you click once on your character, we have all of these properties, these options for our A direction movement behavior. One of them says Set Angle, and by default it's set to Smooth. Set Angle is going to rotate your sprite based on whatever direction it thinks it should be facing when it's moving that direction. For us, in this case, we should set that to No. We don't want to rotate our sprite really. We're going to keep it facing upwards and maybe just mirrored, but we don't want to rotate it completely. So set angle no. While we're here, we can also adjust the speed. The max speed, the higher the number, the faster it'll go. So I'm going to change that. Maybe I'll do like 600. I'm just going to try out some numbers. For the acceleration, that's how long it takes to get up to full speed. Now, typically you want very snappy, responsive controls. So I typically make my acceleration a really high number, just like, 99,999 or something like that. You don't want to go too crazy with that, but I don't know, I type in 5 nines. I think that should probably be good. Deceleration is the same thing. That's basically when your player releases the direction key, how long it kind of drifts or slides before it comes to a stop. And usually a game will feel better if it has more responsive controls with a faster deceleration. Now, default controls here just means like, do you want to use the arrow keys to control the movement? You can check or uncheck that. If you have it set up using the arrow keys already, that's a good option. If you're using ASWD and maybe you don't want the arrow keys to control the movement, you can uncheck that box. Let's hit play. Let's test it out. Now that's feeling a little bit better. It's maybe a little too fast even, and it no longer rotates, but it also doesn't face the right direction. When my character is moving to the right, it's good, but when it moves to the left, they should flip to face to the left. So let's add that. I'm gonna go over to my event sheet. I'm gonna look at these events I already have, and I can use these by adding more actions to each event. When the A is down, that means my character is moving to the left. I wanna take my character and make them face to the left. So I'm gonna add a second action here. The action is gonna be for my character. And if I scroll down just a little bit, I have an option for Set Mirrored. Set Mirrored will just change the horizontal flip of the character. Set Flipped might look like the right one, but Flipped actually does vertical and Mirror does horizontal. So since we don't want to flip them upside down, just flip them to the left, we're going to go to Set Mirrored. Now we have options for mirrored or not mirrored. Let's make it mirrored. Now that should work. It will flip to the left when I go to the left, but now I need to make it flip back to the right when I'm going to the right. So I'm going to add one more action to this one. When the D key is down, I want it to be not mirrored. So add action, go to the character, go down to Set Mirrored, and in this case, not mirrored. Perfect. Let's try it out. Looks pretty good. Mirrors the right direction. Now, when it's moving up and down, it doesn't have to mirror, right? It'll face whatever direction it's already facing, just moving up and down. Looks pretty good. Okay, that's a great start. Now next, let's add some animations into our character. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the walking animation or running animation we created. I'm going to add that into the character object. So I'm going to double click on my character. And over here in the animations window, I'm going to right click and add a new animation. I can go to my folder. I've already exported my walking animation. Here it is. I called it Ghost Walk. Double click on that. And here's my walking animation. Now on this one, what I'd recommend doing is first renaming it. So let's rename. I'm going to call this Walk. And you also want to turn on Loop, because we want the walk animation to constantly be looping the entire time it's walking. If you don't have loop, it'll just do one cycle and then stop walking and just kind of slide. So let's have that looped. We can also change the speed if you want. You can test it out and see how fast it looks. I might turn the speed up on mine, but it really just depends on how many frames you have in the animation. Cool. So I have idle, I have walk. now let's go back over to the event sheet, and we have to tell Construct when the walk animation should be playing. So let's use the events we already have actually. We have, when the D key is down, we want to start walking, right? So I'm going to add an action. And I'm going to say the character should set the animation to, and right here under the animations, we have 2 quotation marks. If you just delete one of the quotation marks, a list of all your animations you've created pops up. So when the D key is down, do I want it to either be idle or walking? I want the walk animation. I'm going to do that for all of these. When the player presses the A key, I want it to turn to the walk animation too. So add action, go to my character, set animation, walk. I'm going to do the same thing for the next event. Character, set animation, delete one quotation mark, walk animation, and same thing again. Okay, cool. Now I might actually, real quick, I'm going to delete the other, don't do this. I'm just deleting the frames from my idle animation. So it'll make it more obvious when it's moving or not moving. There we go. That's pretty good. So it's in the idle animation. And then when I start moving, the walk animation plays. That's good. Now, the only thing that's bad is that when I stop moving, they should go back to the idle animation, right? So we have to add new events that say when the player lets go of A, S, W, D, or the arrow keys, go back to the idle animation. So let's add that in. I'm going to go to add an event. The condition is going to be the keyboard when the player releases a key. So on key released, and which key? Let's just go through them all. So when they release the D key, we're going to add an action, go to the character, and we're going to set the animation to the idle animation. Let's do the same thing for the next keyboard, on key released. Let's do A. And then again, character, set animation, idle. Do the same thing for the next 2. You can also copy and paste. If you want to save some time, you can right click on events. If you right click like right over here on the left corner, go copy, right click again, paste, and then you can just make changes. So I can say like, okay, instead of A, let's do W, and copy paste again, change that one to S. So now we have 4 events here. When the player releases any one key, it goes to idle. Now you might be tempted to say like, why can't we just do on any key released? And the reason for that is say that the player has a different key that they use to attack or to dash. And when they release that, we might want to have it go to a different animation. So let's keep it just specifically for these movement keys. Let's try that out. Good. He moves. When you let go of the movement keys, it goes back to the idle animation. Excellent. Now, next, let's start some organization. We're going to make a group for this. If you right-click anywhere in the white space at the bottom of your screen, you have the option to add group. Let's click on add group, and let's name it. I'm going to call this character movement. This is going to be like the folder that has all my character movement events in it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just move all of these events into my character movement group. Now, to do that, you can grab it. You have to grab it from like the tab over here on the left side, and you can drop it right where it says add event to character movement. You can do that for all of them. What you want to make sure you're doing is clicking right where it says add event to character movement though. It's a little dangerous if you move it to the wrong space. See how my black line kind of indents if I move it to the wrong space? That could actually mess things up. So what I would recommend doing is making sure you're dropping it right on character event. You can also select more than one event at a time. If you hold down the Shift key and click on the top and the bottom of the event, it'll select all the ones in between. So take a minute, move everything into the character movement group, and that keeps it organized. So now we have it all there. That's also going to come into play later. It'll be important for the mechanics of the game to have this stuff grouped up. Great, we'll leave it there today. Let's save our projects. Click on the Save button up on top. And we'll continue with this in the next video. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you guys next time.